Dana Schwartz, and this is Rise or Die, the official companion podcast for Peacock's original series, Those About to Die. On this podcast, I go behind the scenes with the show's cast and creators to learn how they brought their brutal vision of Rome to life.
Gosh, people will freak out.
Rise or Die launches on July 18th. Watch or listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, I'm Alison Larkin, writer, comedian, narrator, and host of the Jane Austen podcast. Join me as we embark on a journey through Austen's timeless stories, starting with Pride and Prejudice. The Jane Austen podcast with Alison Larkin is available wherever you listen to podcasts.
Welcome back to Angel on Top, a podcast where we watch and discuss every episode of Angel, one by one, spoiler-free, and in tandem with those grimy little pimps over at Buffering the Vampire Slayer. I'm your co-host, LaToya Ferguson, a.k.a. the Cordelia Chase of the Bufferingverse, a.k.a. one half of the Gunn Squad, bang bang, a.k.a. Arby's Crinkle-Fi Vodka, a.k.a. Forever Alone, a.k.a. never not talking about Angel in the chatty rooms, a.k.a. even more annoying nicknames to come. Deal with it.
And I'm your co-host, Morgan Lutich, a.k.a. the Winifred Burkle of the Bufferingverse, a.k.a. the other half of the Gunn Squad, Pow Pow, a.k.a. Arby's Curly Fry Vodka, a.k.a. forever next to LaToya going, no, I'm here, a.k.a. not a frequenter of chatty rooms just yet, a.k.a. lots more annoying nicknames to come.
And this week, we're watching Angel Season 4, Episode 5, Supersymmetry. Supersymmetry was written by Elizabeth Craft and Sarah Fain, and directed by Bill L. Norton. It aired on the WB on November 3rd, 2002.
And this is the one where Fred gets back into the world of physics, only to find out that someone from that world sent her to Pylea. What?
Previously on Angel. Fred disappeared 5 years ago. They never found her. Then Cordy's sucked into the host's dimension through a portal. Handsome man, save me from the monsters. Remember seeing that all the time in the previous?
Yeah, baby. Missed it.
Amnesia Cordy does not know who she is. Angel has her sing to Lorne. We get to hear the greatest love of all again. He sees evil's coming and is planning on staying. We have Wes listening in on Lila and then telling the crew. Corey's with Connor. Angel saves the day, but she wants to stay with Connor. They find Lorne had his info sucked out of his brain. Wes confronts Lila. She's like, boo-hoo. And then Lorne says Wolfram and Hart got all the info.
Yikes.
I will say, so this episode of Angel followed a very Cole-heavy episode of Charmed.
Ooh.
Sympathy for the Demon. You might remember that episode where Cole's going crazy, you know. It turns out it's the demon Barbas dealing with him and preying on his fears. We also learned that both Cole and Phoebe are afraid of becoming evil because they're soulmates and they should acknowledge that. But they didn't. They just kept getting further away from each other.
Ridiculous.
But also, I am, like, because I've been tracking it, Charmed was not a good lead-in for Angel, and it makes a lot of sense that they moved it to after Smallville because, like, Sunday night also is just, it was packed. Sopranos was on, you know, all the WB heads watching Sopranos.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, Law and Order CI and Alias fucking season 2. Like,
oh, yeah.
It was getting crushed in the ratings. Like, they just kept going down. And, yeah, you can understand why, like, later in the season, they just moved it behind Smallville, and it actually worked very well.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
That seems like a much better match.
Yes, TV history, baby.
Hell yeah. No, I like to learn about counter programming at the time. I love to look, we love the WB, and I like to know what the WB's strategy was for that moment.
You would think Charmed would be a better lead-in than Seventh Heaven.
Mm-hmm.
But Seventh Heaven had the better spot because it was on Monday.
Yeah.
And, you know, the big Sunday, things were happening on other networks, like big things.
Yeah, that's like, it's tough to compete, especially like when Buffy is still on and Angel is still, I think, very much in the shadow of Buffy, even though Buffy's on UPN. But like, yeah, it's a little bit smaller. It's a little more intimate. It's a little bit darker. I feel like oddly, Seventh Heaven is a good lead-in because of how moral it is and how tortured Angel is by his own morals. Like Seventh Heaven is actually a good kind of way to palate cleanse going into an Angel.
Yeah, it's because it's literally they lost like 2 million viewers with this movie. Like this episode's 3.6 million. I've been talking about how it's been like 5 million usually.
Yikes. So
that's not good. It's not even after a Charmed rerun this time. And yeah, it's just keeps going down. So
well, as we know, I am one of those viewers who is watching Charmed and then turning the TV off.
It probably doesn't help that again it was Charmed season 5, which is fun, but it's also a very goofy season of Charmed.
Yeah. And I will argue that there's a lot of goofiness in this episode that I'm not all entirely on board with.
Well, like what?
I feel like it's more like maybe it's not that I'm not on board with the goofiness. I just feel like the needle is not quite threaded on the Fred stuff, on how Gunn exactly feels about the Fred stuff, on Angel's complete lack of contribution to almost anything helpful in this at all, some champion, and other such things. I feel like we should maybe get into the episode so I can remember what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah. I mean, with Angel, like, we have been saying, though, he's only obsessed with, like, Cordelia anyway, so he's really kind of useless.
Which is not great, Bob. Like, do your dang job.
To quote a gangly little shit.
Yeah.
Not great, Bob.
Oh, God. We have lots of Connor to talk about in this episode.
You know what? I have some nice things to say about Connor in this episode.
Okay, so you're the resident con head of this episode.
No! But I also have, like, a mind-blowing revelation I had on the lift home, so we're going to talk about that, too.
Ooh, hell yeah. Okay, should we dig in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, baby. So we open in the Hyperion. Fred screaming. Oh, no. Oh, yes? It's a scream of excitement. She's super excited because her physics paper was published. It is about supersymmetry and p-dimensional subspace. Cool. Good for her. I don't know what
Morgan,
that
here's the
means.
part of the podcast where you explain what that is, because you obviously know.
Of course. So when the P is dimensional, you see?
It's not that kind of podcast, Morgan.
Sorry, this is a family podcast. I can't explain. I don't know. It's something about like unifying string and particle theory. I think that was like, I kind of got that at some point, but beyond that, I didn't get a fucking
She
thing.
says multi-dimensional superstring theory at some point in the scene, so she's talking about her own experience. She has like proof that other dimensions exist, and she's using that, and no one is laughing her out of the building.
Which fucking rules? Like, clearly this is a really good paper if it got published.
Yeah. I mean, she says theory
journal.
at the end. That's probably why she's not being laughed at. Not like, and they all exist. I am not a crackpot.
Yeah, she's keeping it theoretical, but like we know this really happened to her and is based off her own experiences. Gunn is so excited. He starts reading it and she's like, "You're gonna read it?" He's like, "Of course I'm gonna read it." And he does not seem to really get it. And Fred starts kissing up on him, so he stops. It's time to talk. It's time to talk about Amy Acker's butt in this scene.
Finally. We're finally talking about Amy Acker's butt.
It's looking good.
It is good, yes.
Yeah, she like gets on top of him. It's the most sexy we've ever seen Gunn and Fred, which
I mean,
as if they heard us talking about this, which I know they couldn't have.
My exact notes are, okay, 6 o'clock for Gunn and Fred, parentheses, wow, they really got in there. And I'm like, only because we knew things were going to be bad after that. Morgan, were you aware things were going to be super bad for them after this scene?
I actually did remember like this plot line. This plot line I remember like pretty, like fairly clearly, like the events of it, because it deeply made me sad. So yeah, I knew we were not in for good times. So I'm glad. I think that's such a classic like Buffyverse thing, letting people get kind of like one last bang in before everything gets awful, which I think is usually the call of like great writing. Like you want to bring them really high so that it contrasts with your big low. And yeah, I definitely some pride before the fall here.
Them kissing, these are two actors who seem like they wanted to be kissing.
Yeah.
Note that for later in the episode.
This is what it looks like when people are okay with kissing each other. Then I love, this is where I want to give props to Kraft and Fane, who are like a very prolific duo in this industry. I love this script. It has so many fun transitions and cuts built into it.
Yeah.
The first of which being you looking at Amy, you, the viewer, looking at Amy Acker's butt and hearing, "Give it to me, sweetness," from Lorne, who is referring to Angel giving him a bowl of soup.
I really, especially watching this episode, I think with just every episode, I'm so upset the shooting scripts aren't up for season 4. Because I feel like they would both be enlightening and just, like, this seems like a really fun script I want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to call out a lot of these like cuts and transitions as we go forward because I think they're just so well done. But so Lorne is in his room. Angel is serving him soup on a little tray.
And
it's
fluffing his pillows.
Yeah, Angel is actually getting it. I take back some of what I said. I know I was shitting on Angel for not being helpful or doing a good job, but he does seem like he's being a good nurse to Lorne, and I appreciate that.
But also it is canon that when it comes to Gunn and Fred, Angel is just so oblivious in general too.
He doesn't care for it. I would argue it's not just obliviousness. He's like, I don't care to be involved in this couple. Like, I think they're too sweet and cute, and it makes him uncomfortable to engage in.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's like, that's nice for the two of you. You enjoy that. I'll be over here being
He
sad.
understands dysfunction. He can like wrap his head around that. Not a healthy couple. He's like, I don't care for it.
Truly, he's like, I mean, I suppose it makes sense on paper, but I don't really get it.
He has to be reminded every day that they're dating, so.
He cannot remember. So, slouching towards Bethlehem has got Lorne down. He is stressed and nervous about all of this shit and about, Wolfram and Hart trying to, trying and succeeding at sucking knowledge out of his brain. He is like, just so you know, I'm not reading Cordy again. I know you want to ask, but I'm not going to fucking do it. Like, it's too goddamn dangerous. I don't want them coming for me again. You're just not going to be able to know through me. Fair. I also think it's important to notice that when Angel's like, okay, and starts to leave, Lorne is sleeping with an axe. It's so cute.
Yes, because Angel hears something, which, by the way, I can acknowledge this later, but I'll acknowledge it now. Angel hears something. Angel definitely heard Fred and Gunn fucking.
100%. Maybe that's why he's so uncomfortable with it, because he does not know how to deal with sex as someone who really rarely has it.
And now they're just having sex in his home, and there's no Cordy either.
Yikes. Yeah, that is a bit of a pickle. So then in the hallway, Angel's creeping around. He hears some rustling.
Because also the other thing is when they hear Fred screaming, they hear Lorne just thinks it's screaming, but Fred, Angel knows specifically it's Fred, and she's not in danger. He knows what's going on. He's I think it's just a Texas thing, so he knows what's going on. He knows what's hot in the streets. We remember his little super hearing before earlier this season.
Zoom, yeah, right in that ear.
So we know he knows what's going on. Oh, that's why he's so uncomfortable later.
That is maybe why he struggles to engage with that. Because at least Gru and Cordy had the decency to have their sex out of earshot.
Yeah.
Angel's I don't get this. We're not this close, guys. So Angel finds Connor. He's actually in the room where all of Cordelia's stuff is, and he's searching for some of her stuff to bring back to him. He throws Connor against a wall and is oh shit, sorry. And Connor's I'm used to it at this point, which he does throw his son against a lot of walls.
His son deserves it.
I don't disagree, but I've really seen this man throw his child against a lot of walls.
More people should be doing this to Connor.
I appreciate the show recognizing that.
Yeah, Angel says the front door's always open, Connor. You don't have to sneak in.
Connor's I don't care. Sneaking in.
He is such, again, a grimy little pimp. Because, Angel asks how's she doing, anything coming back to her? like coming back to her, and Connor's like, nothing about you. Shut up.
Like, stop fighting your daddy for your mommy's affection. It's creepy. Ew.
It's also interesting with his typical sneering, because the way Kartheiser delivers the line later, like, she always stealing the covers, he's not saying that with the same sneering, like, way he does. He's just literally saying it's like a normal thing where he wouldn't realize what the issue is. Mm-hmm. So it's like, what are the choices? Because I think we talked about it before. Like, even Kartheiser's talked about it too, for like the rare time he ever talks about his time on Angel, is just that like the writing was not great. Like, a lot of whining, a lot of just being a little shit, and he couldn't, like, that was the gear he had to be in.
Yeah.
And I think he's a very talented actor. We've talked about this before. I think a lot of the writing was a disservice to him, and just like, I would say the same was for Michelle Trachtenberg as Dawn, especially early on, because she was written so much younger. Mm-hmm. So that didn't help anything. Although I would say Dawn is overall a better character than Connor, because she at least gets to break out of that. And from what we see, like, how are we going to break out of this if this, like, he's so one note. He's so one note for the most part. And I will say there's like a little glimpse of him not being one note in this episode. That's like where I like him, but then it just immediately goes back to it. And this is where I have my revelation,
Ooh,
which is that Michelle Trachtenberg could do Pete Campbell. Mr. Kartheiser could not do Georgina Sparks.
Absolutely not. He fucking wishes he could do Georgina Sparks. Yes, I fully agree. I want to see Michelle Trachtenberg fall down some stairs stat. What I would say is I think your read on you bringing up that moment, the like she steals the covers thing, I do agree, like, is very significant. And clearly, like, you know, the direction was what it was, or it comes across the way it does. I think there's not a lot of consistency with Connor always, like, on an episode to episode basis. Like, I mean, that line might have been intended to be a dig, but it doesn't come off a dig. And I'm more interested in the version of this, if I have to have a version of this, where this is happening kind of like unconsciously to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where he's like, yeah, I'm getting a lot closer with her and I'm craving this intimacy and I'm so lonely that, like, I'm kind of hyper attaching to Cordelia because she's the only person who will give me any affection. Like, that I don't necessarily hugely disagree with, but, like, Cordelia kisses him?
Oh, considering, like, later scenes and, like, this scene, like, there's no way there wasn't a take where him saying the stealing the covers line isn't more of a dig. So it makes no sense to me why they don't go with that take. Maybe it just was bad, but I'm like, well, they're all bad, this version of the character. So I don't know why you took that one out. And then, because, like, the only way it even becomes anything is just because of the zoom in on Angel and then the score. Because the way that Kartheiser says that specific line is not actually as pointed at anything else he says.
Absolutely. And it's as if, like, they used a milder take because they don't want you to hate Connor too much. And I think that actually by, like, toning him down in that way and stuff, you give him... he becomes, like, a weaker character. And I don't mean weak, like, in terms of his muscles or whatever, but just, like, he has almost no attitude about certain things he says because I think they are trying to preserve some kind of likability. When, like, this is a feral child raised in a hell dimension who only knows about murder. Like, it's fair for him to be an asshole. Like,
it seems that this episode he's, like, reading the game or something. Like, where is he getting his moves from?
I don't understand how he's being influenced or who he's being influenced by. Like, I guess it's Cordy in this. Cordy, who's, you know, pottery barning the fuck out of his apartment.
From what we know from Kortoth, the only other person there was Daniel. So, like, there's no learning how to romance a woman or whatever.
Yeah. And I really, the idea...
It would also be more interesting if Connor was gay.
I mean, a lot of things would be more interesting if people were gay. It's, like, almost like that's not even a fair comment anymore. It's like, yeah, we'd all be more interested if someone was gay. Please make everyone gay. But yeah, it's an odd scene. It's fucking weird. Angel remembers that Cordy would need her fuzzy slippers because her feet gets cold, which is cute.
Which Angel knows. Just pointing that out there.
Yep, just something you know when you love someone.
You know how you're always thinking about how your platonic friends, their feet get cold?
Mm-hmm. Always worrying about that kind of thing.
How are your feet, Morgan?
They're actually warm. I'm wearing slippers. How are your feet, buddy?
They're pretty good.
Okay, good. See, this is just two platonic friends. Just concerned about each other's feet. So,
everyone listening is like, do they even like girls? Who are these two straight women?
Who are these two straight women who are strangers to each other?
Stolen queer valor. That's what this is.
Yeah, if there's one thing you and I love to do, it's steal queer valor. So
is Kristin enjoying this?
I hope she is. Good. A note to our listeners: we will not be having a corner this week, which is very sad. Kristin is sans mic, but hopefully we can bully her into making some crackly audio appearances on this episode by saying outlandish things. So then we go to titles. We go to our next scene. We're in the lobby. Gunn is like, Fred's in the office. She's talking Lauren's ear off about physics. He's like, do not go in there. She kept me up all night. The girl is unstoppable.
Well, yeah, he doesn't mention physics at first. So Angel is just like, I guess she's talking about the fucking. Because again, he heard the fucking.
Angel's truly like, ew. Fred comes out and is like, oh my God, did Charles tell you? And Angel's like, I mean, not in detail.
I will never get tired of Angel's reactions to Gunn and Fred.
Not a fan. Not an enemy of their love, for sure, but not a fan.
He's like, why do you have to flaunt it? It's like they're just existing.
Yeah, just like each other and stare at each other from across rooms like a normal person. Angel, the king of not making moves. So he can't close. The boy can't close. And that's the truth.
I mean, when he closes, he becomes evil.
Yeah. He has a bad history with closing. So Fred announces that she's been asked to speak at this physics convention, and oh my gosh, it's such a big deal. And we realize that she's been getting back into physics secretly and not telling anyone because she was nervous that she wasn't going to be good at it anymore and didn't want to fail in front of them. And that only makes me want to die. Believe in yourself. I believe
Fred, you can never fail. Not with a butt like that.
Yeah, come on. So then in the office, she's like, yeah, it's just a little breakthrough with quantum particles. Probably going to be disproven soon. And she's like, this is so silly, but it's always my dream, to be seen by all of these people in my field and recognized. And Gunn's like, well, you're going to be seen now. And then she's like, oh no. You can see it in her eyes. She's like, oh no, don't perceive me. I don't want anyone to look at me ever. And I'm like, right with you, girl.
Relatable.
Yes, very relatable. So she looks at them and she's like, you guys will come, right? And they're like, hell yeah. It's so cute.
I mean, this is a crew that went to all of Cordy's terrible, terrible plays.
Yeah, this is the least they could do. Then Connor comes up and Fred is optimistic. She says,
it'll work out and it'll all be for the best. It will. 5 years of unendurable torture and mental anguish aside, if I hadn't been sucked through that portal, I never would have figured out my string compactification theory.
Exactly, because, strings need to compactify.
We said Game Boy playing Himbo King. And we were right. All of the times that Gunn tries to talk about science in this episode are good, and I love them.
Again, he is so in the deep end, he thinks that Angel is going to be the one to help him.
Unreal. And I'm like, that boy doesn't know anything. They didn't have physics when he was born. We didn't have that shit yet. So then over at Wes's place, Lila arrives with a gift. Hot. Wes is being salty. He's like, oh, this is a bribe. This is a setup. I'm like, shut up. Take your present, bitch.
The way she looks up at him, like, expectantly, it's like, oh, she's like, I fucked up. She's got it bad.
She's got it so bad. She's like, please don't be mad at me. Here is this super expensive gift. And I'm like, Lila, I would never be mad at you, baby girl. If you bought me an expensive gift, I would be so appreciative. Wouldn't be like this British bummer over here. She gave him a big helmet because they've been butting heads. Too cute. That's again how you know she is not well.
And instead of fucking her, he leaves.
She took the afternoon off to fuck him, and he's leaving? It could not be me.
And he very coldly thanks her, like, thanks. Like, you would think a stranger, basically.
Yes, like you and I talk to each other about our feet. So Wes...
Just cut that clip right there.
So, like, yeah, so we reveal that Wes was actually reading Fred's article when he arrived. And I'm like, really? Still? Get over it. She's seeing someone. Anyways, we then go to Connor and Cordy's. Again, stay away from her, get a job, energy intensifies.
Cordy has turned her whole life into an evidence board, which includes her parents. Who the fuck are these white people?
Never seen them in my life. How did she get pictures of all of them in their seats at the opera?
Who took those photos? Why weren't they taking photos of all the disappearing people at the fucking ballet?
Unhelpful. So she's I write in my notes, Cordy's collaging, which I also find therapeutic.
Do you do your collaging like an evidence board on CSI?
If I need to. If that's what the collage muse inside of me dictates. So, like, she has, like, spruced up the place. It's a little nicer. And I notice this, and I am immediately ripped out of that serene observation by the sight of Connor in a tank top with his hair wet from the shower. God help us all.
But here's the thing. It's very funny because it's like, you hear the shower going, and you're like, oh, no, we're about to get Connor straight out of the shower. But it's not like, bless his heart. It's not like David Boreanaz out of the shower. He's got like the towel around him and his broad shoulders. This is Vincent Kartheiser. He does not have broad shoulders. He's coming in a tank top. He is fully dressed.
Viewers of the WB have a mere 20 minutes ago seen Cole Turner. and now this? Help. I was not well. He's like taking credit for bringing the slippers. I hate him.
Yeah, she's like, where are the pictures of Angel? I didn't see any. I think I know she has amnesia, but I think she would remember that she has a bunch of pictures of Angel.
Yeah, she looked at all her shit.
And I'm like, stop staring at her boobs, you little creep.
Yes, he stares at her boobs, and it's so adolescent and
I wrote in my notes, only we can do that.
Yeah, that's for me to do, not you. That was very upsetting to me.
But I'm also like, why is he dressed well for once? When he was foraging for her things, like he was wearing another one of his weird shirts where like the collar is not okay. Because I think that's a good character choice. Maybe like he doesn't feel comfortable having like a collar. Like he feels constricted. I get that.
Yeah.
But like, why is he like he got queer-eyed between scenes?
He went from dressing in like he's like in the real world of the Matrix, like all of them on the Nebuchadnezzar where they're like wearing white ribbed tank tops with like hole-filled sweaters up on them, to dressing like he's in the Matrix for real and he's in a little snazzy outfit.
Well, I was like, he's dressed like he's Chad Michael Murray in House of Wax.
He absolutely is. What a horrible vibe. So then, like, Cordy's like, something's still missing. And Connor's like, I mean, you used to be a fighter. Maybe you missed the action.
He says that she misses the thrill of the kill, to which I said, no, weirdo, she does not miss the thrill of the kill. Because while she is Alias, she is not a murderer. She's
a spy, not a murderer. Keep up. It's weird. It's weird. And it's, yeah, there's just nothing to say.
I'm like critiquing him. Like, this is the scene where he's actually the most charming he is, like, ever.
I'd agree. Yeah. All of that said, it was probably his best scene. Yeah.
I think it helps that he's clean.
He's clean. He's kind of earnest. Like, there's something vulnerable about him just getting out of the shower. There's something domestic about the vibe they have. And, like, seeing him as, like, an actual, like, a bit more of, like, a kid who's, like, you know, being helped by someone and helping himself by helping her. There is something to that dynamic. Like, it isn't a bad idea necessarily, but I just think the execution is not there.
Yeah, it's like the one scene where Kaiser doesn't have to play like an emo little bitch or a weirdo. So
yeah.
I think that's why it works for the most part.
He doesn't have to sneer at anyone in the scene, which is helpful because he's pretty like maxed out on sneering.
And yet he finds more ways to sneer.
Yeah. Good God. Then at our physics event, Fred enters and she's in a little cardigan and button down and her glasses are like perched on her collar. This look, I recognize this look. I vibed with this look back in the day. What a little dweeb. I love her.
It looks like this look you had earlier today, Morgan.
Probably, yeah.
That was the day earlier today.
Yes. Fred gets nervous because she sees where she is in the speaking lineup. She's in between two, like, huge deal guys. And she has to explain it to Gunn in sports. It's very cute. Gunn is like, don't worry, it's okay. Fred is very excited to see Professor Seidel, her old physics professor who got her interested in the medium to begin with. He's like, I'm introducing you. I had to fight everybody to introduce you because they all want to. He speaks really highly of her. And he says,
Winifred's a natural. By the end of the first semester, she was taking on WIMPs.
You should see her now. Killer left hook.
WIMPs are weakly interactive massive particles.
Oh, yeah. Just kidding.
Himbo King. I love my dumb boy. He doesn't know shit, and he doesn't need to. I wouldn't have known that either. I love him.
That's why you have to go the angel route, or if you don't say anything, people think you're smart.
Yeah, just don't talk. But it's also harder to not talk when it's your girlfriend. Like, yeah, Angel is coming across like he doesn't give a fuck because he's not talking. This is the episode where I crack down on Angel for being a bad friend. And I won't stop. I was very disappointed in Angel in this episode.
But Angel has a beautiful mind.
Does he?
We'll talk about that later in the episode.
Please. So then Angel like is like, I'm fucking out of here. I'm gonna go get seats. And Gunn just like stands there at the edge of the conversation feeling deeply uncomfortable. Then in the auditorium, guess who else is finding his seat? Wes. Hey, creep. Stay out of their lives. I love you. I love you. But they asked very nicely for you to not be involved with them anymore. Why are you secretly you read her article? That was nice. Read it from afar.
Maybe send an email if you want, just to test the waters.
Yeah, maybe send an email or a letter and just be like, hey, I really enjoyed your article. Like, it's great to see you doing this kind of thing. Would love to discuss it if, ever you would like to talk to me again.
That would be, a normal person's reaction.
Don't fucking stalk all of your friends and hover in the back of the auditorium like a little creep. Fucking Joe Goldberg ass.
But yeah, Angel clocks him because he's like, okay, I guess. And Angel, it looks like Angel's like, aw. Angel doesn't think creep, but like...
He absolutely doesn't, and nor should he. Like, he wants things to be normal with them again. But it's
also Angel is used to stalking people.
Yeah, Angel's a dang creep himself. He cannot talk. How many times has Angel, like, appeared behind someone menacingly on this show? Too many.
Speaking of being behind, there's also, like, the nerd guy who gets important later who is, like, finding his seat, and, like, the way he does find his seat is, like, this is going to be a Groundhog Day episode. It's, like, so distinct.
It truly is. He's like, whoa, let me find my seat.
When Angel relives this day, he's going to have to find a way to navigate past that guy.
He's going to be like, quiet down, kid, like the 8th time he does it. So Fred makes the rounds. This is where Angel admits to Gunn. He's like, I don't understand this shit either. I just don't say anything about it. And Gunn is like, well, could you please admit it so I look less dumb?
And he's like, never.
And that is like a bad friend. I'm like, let yourself look dumb so that Gunn doesn't look as dumb, please. He saves your life all the time. This is the least you could do. But whatever. So then Fred starts talking. Gunn and Wes are both have heart eyes looking at her. I'm like, what is this, season 3? Lila shows up. Fred reads off her cards. This one just says, open with a joke. I guess I didn't think of one. I was
like a fucking Morgan joke.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, good on you, girl. I like your style. And she does a bit where she's like, maybe my, theory will be the joke. And I'm like, no, your theory's good. You're good. I love you.
Yeah.
Everyone
Angel notices Lila in her leather jacket that she changed into to stalk Wesley. And Lila's also clearly jealous as hell. And she looks like she's about to do something nefarious in her leather jacket.
She's looking very shady, to be fair. And she types something into her phone. And then moments later, a portal opens up above Fred's head. And there's a bunch of tentacles that have big crab claws on them that are coming down and trying to suck her back up into the sky. Oh, no.
And everyone reacts the way you should, as opposed to at the ballet when people disappeared and no one reacted.
Nobody cared. They were like, this is part of the ballet. So we go to commercial, we come back. Our boys jump to the rescue. The one thing Angel did in this episode that I drew a heart next to was have a boot knife. I loved that he pulled a little knife out of his boot. It made me so happy.
After he told the demons, like, you're not going to fucking strangle me. I'm a vampire.
Very cute. Very fun. We cut from the action to Lila's car. She's zooping the fuck out of that parking garage. And I'm like, if they didn't live in LA, this wouldn't have been a problem. She would have been out of there already and Angel wouldn't have been able to find her. But because of Los Angeles' addiction to horrible underground parking garages, she is caught.
That's all in the script. It says exactly that word for word.
It says this, move to New York, honey, or I don't know, somewhere where there's better parking. Anyways, so Angel rips the top of her car off. Very funny. And Lila pulls over and is like, fucking fine, let's talk. And she opens with basically asking for a cookie for not killing Lorne.
Because she thinks that's what this is about.
She's like, I didn't do any, are you going to say thank you? I love you. I'd do anything for you. Angel threatens her and he says,
how about you tell me why a portal happened to open up over Fred's head right after you slithered out of the auditorium?
Tragedy struck Gidget?
Is she going to the place in the sky? So good. So good.
And this is where I write, girl, just say you didn't do it so he doesn't fuck you up.
You didn't for once.
It's... Girl... Because the way the scene ends is that, she's playing her whole I'm cool Lila game, and then she fucking bolts as soon as she's free to go. She's terrified. We know you're terrified of him. You don't have to keep doing this. Stop egging him on.
Honey, baby, sweetie, we know you're a coward. And that's fine. Get out of there. Be honest. So she's like, yeah, I didn't do it. And they look at each other for a long beat. And I'm like, okay, well, but who did? I was very confused. But Lila's like, yeah, anyways, I don't give a fuck about any of this. Goodbye.
She starts driving before she has closed her door.
I'm not scared at all. Later.
Just sobbing.
Yeah, good for her. I mean, I'd be scared. I was scared as fuck, too.
Yeah.
Then, in a less funny scene... Oof. We are in Gunn and Fred's room at night. Gunn is asleep. And
because I realized Gunn lives there now because obviously we know they were having money issues and everything. It made the most sense for them to move in together. So they live together. They're fucking under Angel's roof.
They were at one point kind of raising a child together with Connor for a full summer. We have leaped several rungs on the intimacy ladder. So... Gunn wakes up to the sound of Fred talking to herself while she writes on the walls again because she can't sleep. And she's reverting to old habits and old ways of dealing with trauma. It's really sad to see.
Yeah, it's not fun. Again, the opposite of the last scene.
Yeah, Gunn is like, you're not going back there. Like, that's not happening. Like, you don't have to be afraid. And Fred is scared to talk to her professor tomorrow. And she's like, oh, what's he going to think of me having seen this? Like, the way that she views the portal and the magic that happens around her is such a shameful thing. Also really breaks my heart, especially ultimately because it was forced upon her by this particular piece of shit.
But she feels like she was a fool to have gone through a portal, basically.
Yeah, which is like, honey, no. Like, this has like a very normal response to like trauma and awful things is to like blame it on yourself and think that this is because it is the way you are or it's the kind of thing you attract. But it's just like so hard to see her wrestling with that. And Amy Acker's like so fucking great.
Because if I recall, the way the show explained how she went through the portal was like she was reading one of the books. So like she blames herself because she thinks that she did do it to herself. Mm-hmm. And here is when we learned, no, she did not. Because this guy fucking does a portal every which way.
Yeah, what the fuck?
I'm sorry to jump ahead, but he fucking texts a portal.
When he texted that portal in Windings to her, I like almost screamed. I didn't know what fucking Nokia could do Windings. Good. A+. I've never complained about this show and I never will. So Gunn is like, hey, come back to bed. Like, me and Angel are going to take care of the magic shit and you're going to do your physics stuff and it's going to be great.
Yeah, and nice. He's like, comforting her. And as she goes to sleep, it's clear that he's very worried.
Yeah. Which, like, fair. This is really fucking scary. And obviously, like, really taking a toll on her, which, of course, it is. Then, the next day in the lobby, Angel is setting up a bunch of chairs because he is recreating the audience at the, like, physics event. Like
I said, Angel has a beautiful mind, but really it's more like, Sherlock Holmes or Sean Spencer from Psych is what he's doing. And, I kind of like it because this season, it seems, it's visualizing things that are, like, just kind of, like, we know are part of, like, Angel or just vampire things in general, from, like, him zooping around with a bunch of blood, or the super hearing thing, or even this, like, these are things technically we know he's able to do. And, like, these are... Yeah. But, like, we're actually seeing them now.
Which I also agree, like, is more interesting if you can feel like you're somewhat involved in the process or, like, your hand is being held through it versus him just being like, and I did it because I can do it. Yeah, it is. It's cool to see him do that. And it's very, like, Mind Palace-y, very Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, I'm curious to know if there's a reason why they're, like, kind of showing these things now. I literally don't know. So
it seems like they're understanding the pace of the episodes a little better than they used to. I feel like in seasons 1 and even like early 2, there was a lot of need to like explain things and like there's a fair amount of fat on the stories. And I think this is actually like a little more substantive. Like it's actually showing you how he does something versus just being like, that guy, let's go to that place. Like it's nice to see him actually do the work. I think it lets you know that Angel's good at his job sometimes.
I mean, because, in general, like the criticism for Angel as a character and why people are like, of course I don't want to watch the spinoff is like Angel's not interesting is the thing people would say. And I think the show does a lot of things to show that Angel is actually very interesting. And I think even something like this, does that.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's good. So he's like, there was a nerdy guy there. There was an older nerdy guy over there. And I'm like, okay, how helpful is this going to be?
Also, the nerdy guy who was the one who were like, is this a Groundhog Day situation? He is Spencer from iCarly and Crazy Steve from Drake and Josh, the actor Jerry Trainer. I'm like, I never watched iCarly because it is, again, the Larry David, I'm an adult thing.
Nor did I would just like to say.
But I was going to say, he looked good. For a nerdy guy, he looked good.
I was like, also like, this guy can kind of get it. Yeah, like I fully agree.
I'm like, okay, so you guys found the hottest nerdy guy around.
I mean, isn't that always the thing? Like, yeah, everyone in Hollywood's too hot. And we must abolish all hot people, as LaToya and I believe.
I mean, ban them. They are menaces and they need to be stopped.
Making it impossible for me to go to an exercise class in the city.
What a very LA sentence.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now I can't go because of the global pandemic, but
but also the hot people.
But mostly the hot people. So, like, they were like, Lila was there, like, just to stalk Wes. Angel.
And Gunn's like, wait, what? They're both there?
Angel throwing some shade. And then they're like, oh, the guy who sat behind us, like, he had a camera and a nerd shirt. And Gunn's like, cool, let's go. And Angel's like, I need a fucking coat. It's sunny out. And
also, for the nerd shirt, Gunn knows exactly where he is because Gunn is also a nerd.
A fucking dweeb. Also, there's one comic book shop in Los Angeles, but okay.
I guess this comic book shop is called Thwack, is what we're supposed to believe.
Cute. This is the next amazing cut in the script because Gunn goes, because when my girl's not happy, and then it cuts to him like throwing this dweeb up against the wall in the comic book shop, and he yells, I'm not happy. Hot. Love it. A+. Never did anything wrong in his life.
We've never been upset with Gunn. You can't prove it.
Who, me? Never. Gunn reveals in this scene that he is very familiar with Daredevil, so much so that he names issue numbers and is talking about like Bullseye and Elektra and shit. And I was like, you're not Catholic? Like, why do we feel Daredevil for Gunn? Does that seem right to you?
I mean, Hell's Kitchen is the streets, and Gunn's from the streets.
It is the streets. And I mean, Daredevil is like Batman, but not rich. Like, so I do kind of vibe with, like, he's a little bit more of like a working class hero, which I do like think would vibe
but
with
also,
Gunn.
that reference is like what happens in the classic feature film Daredevil, starring Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner.
Oh, I'm familiar with the film. Just thinking about Gunn sitting down in the movie theater for that and watching Colin Farrell's portrayal of Bullseye.
I think you would love it. No notes.
Makes me want to lay down on the ground.
As a podcast network, our focus is bringing you shows you love to listen to. But we also sell merch related to those shows. And partnering with Shopify has made that both possible and simple for us to do. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor adventures, Shopify helps you sell everywhere because they've got you covered from their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system. What's so fantastic about Shopify is how, no matter how big you want to grow, they provide everything you need to get control of your business so you can take it to the next level. Businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm. That's all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/realm.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. Look for The Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
It's pretty clear to everyone by now that social media has changed everything from the way we live to how we discuss politics and what we think we know about the world around us. Which begs the question, who's in charge here? Hi, I'm Jon Favreau, former Obama speechwriter turned chronically online host of Offline with Jon Favreau. Join me every week just outside your social media-fueled echo chamber for a smarter, lighter conversation about the real-time changes and real-world effects of social media and the internet on all of our lives. Check out Offline with Jon Favreau every Sunday wherever you get your podcasts.
So the nerdy guy, does the nerd have a name?
His name is Jared, apparently.
Jared. Okay, Jared. So Jared is like, look, I was just there to see if like Fred was really one of those students who disappeared. And they're like,
what?
Plural students? What the fuck? Then at Dr. Seidel's lab, Fred is let in. She seems so excited to be like back in the science world. And Fred is explaining Pylea to him, and he seems like
She's telling him the whole story.
Yeah, she's being honest. She's like, you believe in, like, other dimensions, so I'm telling you I've fucking been to one.
Yeah, I guess it's her, like, way of trying to get better and process things. We're like, let me just tell him what happened.
Yeah, I mean, she sees this as somebody she admires and someone she can trust.
Yeah.
Not her fault. She's fucking wrong. We meet Lori, the TA, who introduces herself as not a genius like you.
Yeah, not all of us are geniuses. I'm like, Jesus, Lori. But also, like, I feel like there's a past of this where she's supposed to be more of a red herring as the one who did send Fred, but they don't let it breathe at all. And, like immediately, Fred learns the truth.
Yeah.
And then they just keep dunking on Lori after the fact.
I also, I was just, I have a little something for Lori saved for later in the episode because of the deep sadness I felt for her. Then Fred goes into Seidel's office with him. He presents her with the last test she took, the one he never got to give back to her, and he gave her an A-.
Really just twisting the knife.
She's like, an A-? What the fuck? And he's like, well, you're so smart. I degraded a different way. And I'm like, eat shit, asshole. I know what you did.
See, that's why it sucks that you remember. I'm like, I want to know, like, if Morgan was like, da-da-da. I'm like, no, he's a man, though. So you probably still be like, no.
No, he's a man. I knew he was evil. It just sucks. Seidel's like, I'd really like to teach you again. And he says all this shit to her, including that she deserves to live in the world that she's meant for. What's his game here? Like, if he really is that intimidated by her, shouldn't he be fine with her going and fighting monsters and shit? Like, isn't that better for him? I think he just wants
to get rid of her just in case she figures it out also. And I don't know if they say it, but like all the students who disappeared, are they female physics students? Because that tracks.
That would track. Like, it did feel like he's clearly a deeply self-conscious person if he's constantly eliminating the competition. But yeah, I mean,
that's in the past where there's more Lori, that's for sure.
Given his relationship with Lori and that he finally kind of like found someone he can keep under his thumb all of this time, it does kind of make sense that I would imagine a lot, if not all of his victims were women. Fuck this dude. I hate him.
He says, I hate a woman in STEM. That's what he said.
He does say it. Then, back in the comic shop, we learn that there are angel forums.
I mean, there are whole forums on you in the chat rooms. The WB forum, the good old days.
Yes. A place where you made many friendships.
Of course.
So then, he's like, yeah, so these disappearances, like, there was also info on that in the forums. There were 3 before Fred and 1 after. But who cares about anything that guy said? Because all that matters is that Angel says they talk about me in the chatty rooms.
After he pretends he's not going to bite, even though we can see he wants to bite, because this is our vain Angel. We know. But then they top it all off with vain Angel plus old man Angel.
Beautiful combination. Feel like I'm watching Carpe Noctem.
I think that's the peak of the series.
Really? I mean, we obviously it's when I joined this show. So
everyone's like, okay, top 10 episodes of Angel, go. Just like lots of lists, like prestigious episodes. Us, Carpe Noctem.
A good podcast. So then in Seidel's office, Seidel is called out because something's up with the oscillator again. Poor Lori.
Lori's a fucking idiot who can't figure out how to fix the oscillator.
Lori wiped the tears off of her face to come into the office.
Lori, come on. She's like in the mirror. She's like psyching herself up. You can do this, Lori. No, you can't.
You can do this, you stupid bitch. Like, go, just talk in front of Fred. It'll be fine.
Someone walks in. She's like, get out.
Oh, God, Lori. Both of us identifying entirely too much with Lori.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, we relate to this character way too much.
Projecting a lot onto the character of Lori is a necessary coping mechanism. So Fred is looking at the bookshelf and she finds a book that seems to be out of place. She opens it only to find drawings of tentacles. A coincidence? I think.
Yeah, of course. It's fine.
And then Seidel comes in and she has big, wide, scared eyes. Dun, dun, dun. What will happen? Then in the office of the Hyperion. They're looking up Angel and Gunn are looking up the disappearances, and they're like, all of these people had Dr. Seidel as a professor. And Gunn's like, the professor she is with now? Excuse me while I go rescue her. But Fred has already arrived, and she's like, he did this to me. And he's like, done it before. He's the one who sent me to Pylea. Oh, no.
Well, oh, no is that she says, he's gonna die.
He says, he's gonna pay. Yeah. Gunn says, don't worry, he's gonna pay. And she says, no, he's gonna die.
Cut to commercial. What commercial do you think's playing?
You probably heard the Chili's Baby Back Ribs song in between these two scenes. That's what I believe. Then back in the lobby, Fred is mad as fuck. And she's like, he did this to me. I was explaining all these dimensions to him, and he was like, I never heard of it. And she's like, fuck this guy. Like, what a piece of shit. I hate him. She's getting into the weapons cabinet, getting armed to the teeth, and it is morals time. Gunn and Angel are like, no, like, don't do this. Gunn's like, this isn't what we do.
Yeah.
And
Gunn makes a fair point. It was like a few years ago, he would have done it. Mm-hmm. Like, this is definitely the kind of thing he would have done. And Angel, of course, this is his whole thing. Of course, he's going to be like, don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Have you listened to everything I've ever said to Faith? Like, just go back and watch those episodes.
And the thing is, I just wonder, do we believe that Gunn would be this cool-headed in this moment? And that is one of the things I think I wrestled with a little bit, because they make Gunn and Wes such binary choices in this episode for her, like the guy that gets my revenge and empowers me, or the guy that doesn't and thinks I should just be a good little girl.
It's more like the guy who's like, if I were your guy, I'd let you kill him. That's what Wes is doing, and we'll talk about that more. But it just, because again, like we said, Gunn and Fred were parents for months. So Gunn has clearly matured, even though he's still a himbo king, and we love that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's the combination of that and just being on the team in general, because he was a real fucking hothead when we first met him, who would have done this. He would have because again, this was someone who had a death wish anyway, so he wouldn't have cared. He now has so much to live for, and he cares so much. Unfortunately, they gave him too many emotions that he was like, I can't do this.
And I wish they'd stepped it out a little bit, how much I assume it must hurt Gunn to see Fred in this dark place, because she is such a light in his life. The idea that how much it hurts to see the quote unquote the best of us turn into maybe making a decision this harsh. I just wish that had been there a little more for them. Angel's kind of hey, don't do it, feels a little rote and not interesting. And for Gunn, it's so easy, when I imagine he still would be pretty fucking angry at this guy. And he is I'll fucking take care of him. But I do feel he slides into the gear of well, no, we can't do this, faster than I maybe think is fully believable. I long for a little bit more messiness and a bit longer time to unpack this situation.
We clearly need a longer episode. Angel should have followed V-War rules and just be as long as you need to be for an episode. So if that means sometimes an episode only needs to be 20 minutes. Sometimes an episode needs to be 2 hours. These are the rules we learned from the V-Wars.
And we all learned so much from those V-Wars, especially those of us who only watched 2 episodes. So Gunn and Angel are both if you do this, you can't take it back. It is not gonna feel fucking good. Don't let this, and Gunn says, don't let this guy define you. He did this thing to you. Don't let him make you a killer, essentially. And that seems to resonate with Fred to a certain extent. She gives back the axe. She turns down hot cocoa, which should have been their first sign that something was wrong. And she leaves to go up to lay down for a while. Meanwhile, I love that Gunn and Angel turn to each other and they're so we're handling this. Part of that is infantilizing and annoying. But the other part of it is, and what I wish I think to me would have been the most interesting direction for the episode would be the race for all 4 of these characters to be killing this guy to spare the other 3 the like stain on their soul. Like that's what I wanted. I wanted like Angel's like, fuck this guy, I'm gonna kill him. Gunn's like, fuck this guy, I'm gonna kill him. Fred's like, fuck this guy, I'm gonna kill him. Wes is like, fuck this guy, I'm gonna kill him. And each one of them is like, and none of you are allowed to kill him for me because I'm doing this.
What is the version if, again, red herring, but if like they at one point think it's Lori who did it, how are we approaching this situation if we think it's Lori who did it?
Equal opportunity murder. If Lori did it, fuck that bitch. She's out of
Angel
here.
going to torture Lori, and she's like, wait, what?
She's like,
she thinks he's here to seduce her, and she's like, why? I'm Lori.
She's like, I deserve this. Stupid fucking bitch. Angel finally finds someone with the same level of self-loathing as him.
Lori is the new Cynthia in terms of the way we've latched onto her.
Lori is
for no reason other than to do it.
I love her so goddamn much. So Gunn says, vengeance, it can get ugly. Cut to Wes pulling the cap off a beer and saying, vengeance sounds good. Guys. That's fun. That's clever. That is enjoyable to me. Fred is like, Angel and Gunn want me to be a good little girl and like not, kill this guy. How dare they?
And to show how like badass they are, Wes offers her a beer.
Ooh, the drink of summer. So like, I agree with her that it's somewhat like infantilizing the way that they talk to her in that moment and the way that like they really don't entertain her desire for payback. Like there's no like, no, we need to come up with a plan to bring him to justice. There's just kind of like, go to your room and sit there and be sad. Like I do think there is something to that there. And I like kind of wish everyone was trying to do a murder, but whatever. They don't like doing murders, so that's to them. Wes is like admits that he read her article and that he's been like keeping track of her. This is where we get like another like weird Wes Gunn binary comparison where it's like he gets her paper, he understands, and I'm like, okay, I don't give a fuck.
But it's funny because like despite all of that, she's not oblivious because she knows, but also she couldn't give a shit that he's into her. She's not into him. She's not.
She's using him for revenge, which, hot, good. You always use men for revenge. A men's crush on you is for nothing but you to use him for your own gains. And I believe that.
Clip that.
Okay, Kristin has now given us all the run times for V-Wars. They are
I
as
missed
follows.
it. Is that in the chat?
Episode 1 is 57 minutes. Episode 2, 37 minutes. Episode 3, 38 minutes. Episode 4, we're inching up a little bit. It's at 46. Then 47, 45, 39, 37, 46. And then the finale, you ask? 37.
What a big finale.
What length episode is this show?
Is this an hour-long show or not?
I don't understand it. It makes me crazy. I do think like reading all of these numbers aloud is like a code that wakes some kind of sleeper agent. So I'm sorry for whatever we've done.
You just opened a portal, Morgan.
If you
go check on Michael, because
if you text this to someone in Wingdings, a portal opens. Oh my god. So Wes is like kind of like acting like his old self here a little bit. Like he's very gentle with her. He seems very soft and very old Wes. Wes does say to her like, hey, Angel and Gunn are right. Vengeance has a price and you have to live with it forever. And I'm like, Wes, what would you know about living with the consequences of your actions for forever?
And once you've acted, you can't go back. Huh, Wes, what are you talking about?
Whatever could you be speaking of? Fred, however's response is, he's a serial killer. And Wes is like, okay then, guess we're gonna do a murder.
And she starts reading over his shoulder, and I read my notes, Wes, don't be weird.
Don't be fucking weird, because Wes is consulting his spooky book of dastardly deeds. Then she receives the portal text message. And I was screaming in the most upsetting cut of this well-written script. We have Fred and Wes clinging to each other because the portal's trying to like suck her away, and they like tumble behind the couch and fall on top of each other. But instead of seeing those two bodies smushed up against one another, which I actually object to less than what I was subjected to next, which is C&C Music Factory pressed up real close against each other.
I have in my notes, and now we're off to a sexy Connor Cordy vamp fight scene.
I have CA plus CC : ew written in my notes. They're fighting a vampire. Cordy stakes the vampire.
Then he hugs her and he twirls her. And then she gives him a quick kiss. And then they have the most awkward kiss I've ever seen on this show.
I write in my notes, kill it with fire. This is not good. I don't like...
Because also, here's the thing. We have to remember, she's closer in age to Connor than she is Angel.
Course.
They're basically peers.
Of course.
As you can tell.
Cordelia Chase is but 19 herself. I'm sorry,
like,
but you fucked up.
She's a senior and he's a sophomore.
I am so upset by everything that's happening. Like, this is not my beautiful house. This is not my beautiful wife. Like,
Someone just made a noise as they passed by my apartment, and it sounded like they were making the vomit sound, like as though they agreed.
They know. Yeah, it's really upsetting. And like, why do you... I know that I'm a bit of a broken record this season when I say this is a show written by pervs, but like, why? What's going on here?
Just keep imagining like all of the alternate casting we've chosen for this character. I'm like, maybe it works, but it doesn't look so weird, first of all.
Yeah, it's just, and like, I guess I don't object to the idea of the story, like in theory, like genres, like it's interesting to have a love triangle with a lot of different kinds of love involved. The idea that like Angel can't view Connor fully as an adversary for Cordy's affection because he wants all three of them to be together, like as a family unit, and ideally. Yeah. Like that is interesting and a hard conflict.
Also, like an Oedipal story could be good. And now I'm also just thinking about like if Michael Pitt played Connor and he was just insufferable on the show, but also he gave a great performance. So it's like, God damn it. Because he would give a great performance. He'd be insufferable behind the scenes because that's what Michael Pitt does. But
yeah. And that's what I was arguing before. I think that by occasionally trying to turn the dial down on Connor to make him more likable, they're making him like less likable, because you're like, what the fuck does he even stand for? Like, what does he want? Like, he's a huge bitch about some things and only a little bitch about others. Doesn't make any sense. Is he a huge bitch or a little bitch? Can't tell.
Because at this point, I think with Connor, it's like, obviously last season we were like rooting for Cordelia and Angel, and now it's not even like because of the Connor thing. It's like it's not even so much you're rooting for Cordelia and Angel as you're rooting against Connor and Cordelia.
Yeah, which is just like, it just, again, it's such a disservice to Cordelia to have her just kind of like stumbling around on this very like minor journey in terms of what we've seen her do before. Like it's uninteresting. And like, I know my Cordelia would be like throwing up in her mouth at the thought of this. Like, to what end are we doing this? And I don't remember, but like, it
makes sense if she had like
idea.
Kissed him on the cheek And then he got his signals crossed and then tried to kiss her. But that's not what happens here.
No, this is, I give a little peck on the mouth of congratulations, which, no. And 2, then I give a big ol' smooch because I'm so caught up in this sexy little moment.
The worst
also, no.
Cordelia smooch we've ever seen. And we've seen Cordelia smooch Wesley.
Yep.
But you know what? That was played for comedy. Whereas this is played for supposed to be good. And again, it's not a good kiss. It's not two actors who want to be kissing each other.
I'm in so much pain. So then, we come over to Fred and Gunn's room. Gunn is like gone up there to check on Fred, and she is missing. And he's like, I knew it. Like, fuck. Like, I offered her cocoa like an idiot. Like, of course she's not okay.
He was a real Lori in that moment.
Yeah, looking in the mirror and saying, you stupid bitch. I feel very bad for him. He's like really hurting. Angel is like, look, I gotta go. Like, I'll take off. I'll get there faster. And Gunn's like, yeah, I'll meet you there. It's fine. Go. Because obviously, we're gonna need to move quickly to keep her from doing a murder. Then, in Wes's car, they kind of have a like, remember the plan moment together. And Fred's like, yeah, I fucking remember the plan. Wes is surprised that Gunn is not here. And Fred replies,
Charles doesn't have it in him. It's part of what I love about him.
You can still back out if you think Gunn's right.
It's not about what's right.
Here is where I write in my notes,
Well, this is, like, when Wes approaches that, I'm like, this is where I'm writing my notes. Oh, this is him going like, if you were my girl, I'd murder with you. That's what he's doing here.
He kind of is, but I also read this as kind of like the tempering of like, you know, it would be okay if you didn't want to do this. It would be okay if coming to me and talking about this and us kind of making this plan was more of like an exercise for your grief. Like, as we have discussed, this is a threshold over which you can't like cross back if you no longer feel like it. Like, you will have done this and it will be a part of you for forever. So if you feel differently, now's the fucking time. Like, because I do think like Wes is not happy with the person that he is, and he's not happy with the choices he made. And obviously he wants to be close to Fred because he still like has feelings for her. And he's like, yeah, of course I'll fucking help you do the murder. Like, I'm here to be your lapdog. But I think he does know that it's not what's best for her. But I appreciate that he's like honoring her decision.
Because last episode is the one where it's like he finally dropped the act to be like, to show how miserable he is pretending to be this. What a sad fucking boy.
Again, Lori vibes.
The Lori of the episode.
No more fuck watch, just we pick whoever's the saddest.
Sometimes it's us, sometimes it's these characters.
Hell yeah. So Fred gets out of the car because she's going alone. Love that for her. She's like, I don't even fucking need you for my revenge. Stupid boy. Then in Seidel's office, Angel shows up. He cracks some wise instead of stopping a man from reading Latin from a book.
Have you not learned from Carpe Noctem?
I wrote in all caps under this, no wonder your creepy son is stealing your woman. You are off your game.
But also, like, so Angel's plan is to get Professor Seidel arrested. With what evidence? There's more evidence of all the crossbow arrows you people leave behind that can lead the cops to you than anything he's done making portals and wingdings.
Yeah, and I'm like, you don't fucking have a friend at the LAPD anymore, buddy. Like, there is no in there that you have to, you know, like, with what evidence? So yeah, he opens a portal and a monster starts coming out, and Angel's like, I guess I gotta fight this monster now. And
Which means we can do fuck watch now.
Woo!
Flirting, understanding, consent, and kissing. Flirting, understanding, consent, and kissing. Fuck watch.
So you're gonna fuck the monster, right?
Yeah, baby. No, I have a special fuck watch. Today, this is kind of like a benevolent fuck watch. I saw two lonely souls in this episode. And their names are Lori and Jared. And I am foregoing my ability to fuck someone to introduce them and let them know that I think they could be very happy together and that they should fuck each other. That's what I'm doing today because I'm a humanitarian. And LaToya, who are you selfishly gonna, say for yourself?
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, at first I was thinking immediately, like, I might have to, like, use up Angel already in the season because he started the episode, like, with that striped shirt and, like, the leather pants. And I'm like, okay, go on. But then I found a kindred spirit in Lori. It would be like I'm fucking myself, but oh well. Selfishly fucking myself. To quote Haley Steinfeld, I love me.
I love me. Great.
Just Lori.
Oh, this is a good podcast. That's fuck watch.
Flirting, understanding, consent, and kissing. Flirting, understanding, consent, and kissing. Fuck watch.
Seidel runs out of his office and into the lab and slams right into Fred, who conks him on the head with her crossbow. And she says, "You know what they say about payback? Well, I'm the bitch." Cute. Then with C&C Music Factory,
this is their music factory. This is what this set is.
That's what their set is. I like to call it C&C Music Factory. She's looking at some shelves, and he comes up behind
with
her.
his stupid hard eyes.
And
Hug her from behind. How about some more training? Which I know 100% was in the promo for the episode. And you have Angel, jealous Angel thinking about them. This is a Fred episode, and you have to see that in the preview for this episode?
How dare they? This was the sound that I made that was the loudest and the most upset in this episode, because for some reason this really disgusted me even more than the kiss.
As Michael Jason let me know.
Yes, I told him to text you about it. Yeah, God, what an absolute nightmare. So Cordelia's like, "Hey, I should not have kissed you."
Yeah, she uses the dread, "we need to talk."
Yeah. And she's like, "I have a lot of shit that I got to figure out, so I got to go do that."
Yeah. She's like, "I don't even know who I am," because, amnesia. And she's brings up the baby picture, which was taken 8 months ago. So, this is okay. And then the sneering is back. Going back to him, aren't you? Yeah. The man she's in love with. That's what I wrote in my notes.
Yeah, the person she's known for years and has a close and intimate relationship with. Yeah.
If not even for her being in love with him, her best friend.
Yeah. So, yeah. God, Connor. But again, Connor, the thing with all of these, arguments we're having is, there is a good version of all of this stuff where we do, either through performance or through, some more nuance in the writing, also feel for Connor as well, because he is losing the only person he seems to have any kind of connection with. And of course he's upset and he's lashing out in whatever way he can because he's a kid who is scared and alone. But I just don't feel that sympathy for him because they haven't built a connection here that feels anything other than kind of gross to me.
Because we were talking earlier about shows doing things that are bad, even though they know better, and they keep doing the same thing over again. And it's I don't understand how a character like Connor exists on this show when they knew how John was received for the longest time on Buffy and the reasons why and the whininess. It's just doing that with a boy who sneers is not a better version. That's the same thing, just the boy version.
yeah, they're like, he punches and kicks, so it's different. And I'm like, no, it was never, Dawn's problem was never the lack of punching and kicking.
Yeah, if she was punching and kicking and also screaming, get out, get out, get out, oh my God.
I mean,
no, that's a
no
big bad.
demon would ever fuck with her.
Move over, Dark Willow.
Get out, get out. Oh, good Lord. Yeah, it's just, it's like a disappointment, and it's really weird. It's such a weird mistake to make twice. But then in another wonderful cut from this episode, Connor punches a wall, and we cut to a monster flying into a wall. Like, it's this great, like, he hits a thing and then a thing is hit across the room cut. It's very kinetic and cool. Again, the transitions in this episode fucking rule. Inside Elle's office, you know, Angel has smashed this monster into a wall. But as we later learn, it has 9 lives.
What a little fun twist.
It was cute. Then in the lab, Fred's still got her crossbow. Seidel begs for his life, and he says...
And I read in my notes, don't you call her Winifred or Fred.
I'm like, shut the fuck up. Get her name out of your mouth. Get everything out of your mouth. I hate you.
Get those wingdings in your mouth.
He says to her...
Wingding into your mouth.
You know you want it. He says...
Winifred. Fred. Please. Let's talk about this.
Talk? Sure, let's talk, because you gave me the chance to... Oh, wait. No, you didn't. Oh, well, no talking.
Fred, I know you. You're not capable of hurting anyone.
You don't know me. Not anymore.
Fred rules in the scene. Like, Amy Acker's great. Her, like, rage is so visceral and upsetting. And it feels very true to who Fred is, because it's a very, it's just like a quiet, very, like, directed rage. Like, she really gets, like, laser focused with the anger, as opposed to with her warmth and her creativity. She's kind of like more of like a flailer and a gesturer, and it's like all going all these different directions. Whereas when she's angry, it like focuses down to a point. And I think that's a really good choice.
Yeah, I gotta say, the focused rage, a lot of it in this episode I was seeing, I'm like, this is like really a kind of a precursor in a way to like her stuff on Person of Interest as Root, where she's like a villain turned anti-hero, where she's mostly just, you know, she's very cold and calculating with like little breaks of like the humanity, usually when they, you know, threaten or attack her girlfriend. So,
well, of course.
Remember the main OTP on Person of Interest were 2 women. Fuck you, Jim Caviezel, forever.
Hell yeah. Then in the office, Angel beheads the monster, and that doesn't work. His head grows back. Yikes.
He's so upset.
It's like, how
I'm holding your head.
This is bullshit. I guess that was kind of like the silliness that I think I didn't enjoy as much. Like, I was like, Fred is going through this like very real upsetting thing, and Angel, who has not been helpful at all, is just cracking wise in this room instead of being helpful.
It's like when he went to see Wes to tell him everything's okay, and he's like, I keep making jokes. It's like, now's not the time, buddy.
No.
He already couldn't function as a person when Cordelia was around, but like it's worse when she's not around.
He has fallen apart so completely. Get your life in order, sir.
Go back to just brooding.
Please, it was better. For the people of Los Angeles, it was better.
And then my next note after the scene is, poor dumb Lori.
So, like, in the lab, yeah, poor dumb Lori. This is where she shits on Lori, which I felt really, really bad about.
Even Fred's doing it.
She's like, yeah, like, you were jealous of all of us, and you were threatened by us, and you got rid of us, and that's why you keep Lori around, right? Because she's dumb or whatever. And I'm like, Jesus. Rude.
It's not because she's hot. It's just because she's dumb.
Just because she's like, you know, she doesn't make you feel inferior. Like, it sucks. Fred opens up a portal, and Gunn shows up, and it says, like, if you kill, like, you can't do this. You can't do this. And she's like, no, I'm fucking doing it. And he yells to her, if you kill him, I'm going to lose you.
Charles,
like, it's so earnest and like she like her mind's made up. And I'm again like, Angel, if you hadn't let the man read the Latin, you could have been in this room being helpful and making sure she didn't kill anyone. And that gun didn't have to kill anyone. But instead, he is killing the 9 Lives monster.
He's killing the 9 Lives monster, and then he runs and he gets interrupted by Lori. So he has to like seduce her to get her out of the way. He's like, Lori, have I ever told you you're a beautiful woman?
Just annoying to me, but whatever. So Gunn snaps this dude's neck and throws him in the portal.
Whew.
How do you feel about this, LaToya?
I remember originally watching this and being like, that's fucked, because like it's a snapping of a human neck is what's happening here, which is that's not normal. That's not what we're doing on these shows. No. Besides poor Jenny Calendar, but that was Angelus doing that, and that was very bad and dark. So having one of our heroes do this, even if it is to a serial killer, as Fred said, it was like, whew, the show was not afraid to go there, as it were.
Absolutely. It's incredibly grim. It's a big act of love to do that for her, but geez, it's hard to swallow. I buy that he'd do it for her, but geez, it's just like I'm like, Fred, don't make him do that for you, which I know she's not making him, but like, oof, yikes, it all makes my stomach hurt. So then in the lobby, we cut back with Angel. They have told him, as they're arriving there, that he got sucked into his own portal. Like that he truly had like a Disney death, that he like tripped and went, whoops. And no, it's nobody's fault. But our guys know better. They're going upstairs to their rooms. He's like, oh, it's so weird that you guys aren't, happy and shit.
Yeah, Angel's like, wish you could have seen his face. And they're like, oh, it was a dead face because he was dead.
Yeah. And, but luckily for Angel, Cordy is here.
Is it lucky for him? Because he goes from being very happy to, uh-oh.
He seems happy to see her. So Cordy, like, worries over his cut. And he's like, it's fine. Like, it's very cute. Cordy says, like, I know you lied to protect me, but you need to understand I'm still the person you knew before, and you didn't need to lie to protect her, so you don't need to lie to protect me. And he's like, okay, yeah, fair enough.
He shouldn't have said, okay, yeah.
And she says, cool, so I have a question for you. Were we in love?
How did you react to that one, Morgan?
Oh, I screamed. LaToya, I screamed so loud. It absolutely fucking devastated me. I was like, do I not care about like Cordy and Angel anymore because I hate what they're doing with Cordy's character and it just like doesn't really feel like anything? But then she earnestly looked him in the eyes and said, were we in love? And I died 1,000 deaths. Beautiful stuff. A+.
I was just like, I wrote in my notes saying Angel's happy, and then I wrote and now for the talk in the courtyard, because I knew it was about to happen. I was like, ah.
It's the ultimate challenge for Angel, who is like I understand why this is a good story for Angel. I don't understand why it's a good story for Cordelia, but I'll say I like it as a story for Angel because it's the idea that he has been so removed, so like, I don't deserve love, I don't go after love, like that's not a thing that exists for me anymore, I'm just a champion, blah, blah, blah. And they made him fall in love with Cordelia and believe in their connection so much that now, even though she is missing that piece, he has to believe in it enough for the both of them if he wants to have her. He has to not only do the thing that he could never do before, but he has to do her piece of it as well. And I think that is like such a huge challenge and huge obstacle to put before him and a really interesting situation to put him in. But it also just feels like it's erasing her to give him shit to do, which I think is less interesting.
I was just about to say, their story, at least a better version of a story, I guess, is the 2012 film The Vow, starring Channing Tatum and Rachel McAdams. Remember, she gets amnesia and she's like, hello, are you my husband, I guess?
And he's like, you don't remember?
And she's like, maybe I'll fuck Scott Speedman. I have amnesia.
Look, we'd all maybe fuck Scott Speedman. If amnesia was a good enough excuse to fuck Scott Speedman.
You got amnesia, and Channing Tatum and Scott Speedman are fighting over you.
Oh my God. I never want to have another memory again.
These are champagne problems, Rachel McAdams.
Yeah, none of us care, Rachel. Figure it out. I don't know. I mean, that's our ep. This is a tough conversation. If our characters were to take a break from it, maybe sit down in front of the old television and watch a little episode of something. What do you think would be best for them to view right now?
Well, I mean, they just had Charmed before this.
Yeah.
but no, I'm going to choose Charmed. I'm not going to choose Charmed. We have Charmed Corner every episode now. I guess it's just part of the show.
It's part of the show now.
But also, hit it, bitch.
Angel is a vampire. Does he even like TV?
I think he'll like the WB.
They got that hot teen drama to ease the pain and trauma. And here's the episode that he needs to see.
Oh, yeah.
So I think, actually maybe this is an episode that Fred should watch just to deal with her shit.
Yeah, I think that's fair to give Fred this episode, yeah.
So I'm going to go with Dawson's Creek, Season 2, Episode 15. I really was thinking, should I do a Ken Marino episode? A Professor Ken Marino episode?
Please.
Which, by the way, Ken Marino is, I think, in the episode of Charmed, because it was during his little 2-episode thing he had with Phoebe.
Hell yeah. Ken Marino, all up over the WB. We love you, King. Come on the pod.
But yes, no, I'm doing Season 2, Episode 15. That is the question. Best known as the episode, the second part of the episodes where Jack comes out. But also, in this second part, it's where Pacey, defending Jack, who was being bullied because he was forced to come out because of this horrible teacher, literally spits in the face of this horrible teacher and the terrible education system that wrought him. And you know what? That is... Obviously, things didn't go very well for Pacey for, spitting in the face of a teacher. But it's better than, trying to kill a teacher. And maybe just Fred should know there are levels to this. Sure, of course, he sent you through a portal to Pylea. He's a serial killer. But sometimes you can just be like Pacey Witter.
And turn the other cheek and spit?
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Be like Pacey, Fred. Well, I guess that's it for us. Like, what a dang ebb. I mean, I assume we're going to be treated to the rest of Angel and Cordy's conversation in the next one, which will likely make me scream even more.
Which means a lot of things are happening in a very short span if they're continuing off from that.
Classic Angel.
Yeah. Also, I realized I didn't say, I feel like I need to bring back another segment, which is Bye for Boreanaz, because... Hello, Jared, 100% bye for Boreanaz. He was talking about Angel in the chatty rooms.
Yeah, I bet there's a lot of people bye for Boreanaz in those chatty rooms.
He's got a broody stare and hot spiky hair. If you're straight or gay, your tingly feelings don't care. You're just being honest about this sexy demonic in your bye for Boreanaz. Bye for Boreanaz. Bye for Boreanaz.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
How I was on the WB.com forums.
Yeah, baby. Again, this is a very bisexual show, so it's important we bring this up.
Again, after our interactions, they're like, these girls have never flirted with a woman a day in their lives.
Please, I flirted with a woman so many times. I'm not scared. If you would like to reach out to us, you could email us at angelontop.podcast@gmail.com. You could follow us on social media on Twitter or Instagram at angelontopcast. And you can go over to our Patreon to support us if you like. If you want to follow me on social media, I don't know why, you could do so at Lorgan Mudich on any service that interests you. LaToya, where can the people find you? And should they?
You can find me on Twitter at LaFergs. New year, new me, baby.
Whoa! Look at that.
Let's see how long this lasts.
Use it wisely, people. And with that, you are now checking out of the Hyperion. Ding ding.
And into C&C Music Factory. Bang bang!
Hi, I'm Dana Schwartz, and this is Rise or Die, the official companion podcast for Peacock's original series, Those About to Die. On this podcast, I go behind the scenes with the show's cast and creators to learn how they brought their brutal vision of Rome to life. I talked to acclaimed director and executive producer Roland Emmerich.
When I saw the first race, I was like giddy.
Actor Ewan Ryan.
For an actor, that's a dream, although you do get a lot of sand in your sandals.
And so many more.
You helped summon those ghosts back onto that stage.
Every day when I went to set, I was giggling about what I saw.
I think it's going to be a breathtaking thing.
People will freak out.
Rise or Die launches on July 18th. Watch or listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome to the small town of Chinook, where faith runs deep and secrets run deeper. In this new thriller, religion and crime collide when a gruesome murder rocks the isolated Montana community. Everyone is quick to point their fingers at a drug-addicted teenager, but local deputy Ruth Vogel isn't convinced. She suspects connections to a powerful religious group. Enter federal agent V.B. Lauro, who has been investigating a local church for possible criminal activity. The pair form an unlikely partnership to catch the killer, unearthing secrets that leave Ruth torn between her duty to the law, her religious convictions, and her very own family. But something more sinister than murder is afoot, and someone is watching Ruth.
Chinook, starring Kelly Marie Tran and Sanaa Lathan. Listen to Chinook wherever you get your podcasts.